Hello, today we are gonna practice the English language. Today is a Tuesday morning. It is raining, it is cloudy, and I haven't been outside today because I don't want to get wet. Although I hope that maybe later on, tomorrow perhaps, I would be able to go out and do my groceries. By the way, today is the last day of June, which means that tomorrow, July, the 1st of July, we'll have another set of payments that for some people they need to worry about. Actually, I am also thinking about my next batch of payments because every month I have a set of bills to pay. And we know that some of the bills that we are supposed to pay have increased. And I think that's related to how PhilHealth has decided to increase my payments. And I think somehow I get a feeling that SSS, our Social Security pension plan, is getting more payments than PhilHealth is. That's why PhilHealth appears to be looking for ways to also get more money from people. Except that if you think about it, if you put money to PhilHealth, are you gonna get something back in return? I mean, if you put in your money, will you get the same amount or more? It looks like for most people, it's not going to be the same amount, maybe actually even less. So it's not really a profitable investment. It's not something that many people would use also because if you go to a public health facility, it's not the type that you'd want to go to because there's so many other people lining up. You got a queue and things like that. So most people, their impression is it's best to go to a private healthcare facility than to something like a public health and endure the long lines with the other people who also don't have money and are likely not paying their contributions. That's why for people like myself, I am definitely wondering whether really there is profit, there is a value in giving more money to PhilHealth, especially when we compare it to something like SSS. And nonetheless, I would have to continuously pay my bills, and there has been an increase in the amount of payments I have to pay. And I have to also point out that these payments also include investments because if you pay your SSS, supposedly it's a type of investment because you are preparing for your pension when you retire in old age and you are supposed to get back whatever money that you give now. Now, there was a time when I was making much more money. That was before COVID, and I was able to invest money in private products, private investment products. But now, because I've shifted my investments toward the government related investment products, then I have less money to invest in private investment products, although they're still there. And I was also thinking of a way to definitely increase my income, and it looks like I'm stuck. I'll I'll just have to continue on and maintain whatever it is that I'm doing. And in 5 years' time, I'll get a yield and then reinvest it again. But there is no other way for me to get more than double the return that I am getting in a span of 10 years. I know that there are people who could get way, way more than double in 10 years. But I think the usual regular type of guy who can minimize his expenses, even though he doesn't get a very high income, could double his money in 10 years' time. It's not a very difficult thing to do. I think if you have the normal common sense type of ability, then you could definitely pull it off as well. The problem is it takes 10 years. So if you're 30, add 10 more years, you're 40, add more 10 years, 50, 60, that's it. So is there another way to get more money and invest that money? Looks like it's difficult for someone like me because, for example, if you go to another place to work, you would have to incur other types of expenses, fuel, if you have a car, maintenance of that vehicle as well, and then the time you have to spend to go to the office, and then parking, because there was time when I was working at BGC, at Makati also. So all these things you have to factor in, and it looks like the people who work there have a lot of money because they have their own vehicles. They seem to be in a elite type of environment, and they wear fancy clothing and things like that. But if you do the computation, it looks like they are also not making as much money as they should. I know that there are people who opt to even buy their own flats in a place like BGC, and they have to spend more as well for that. Usually, these people would be helped by their parents, and because of that, the parent factor is absolutely essential for a lot of people living here in the Philippines who would want to enjoy that type of lifestyle where you work at an office and you are at a place like BGC in Taguig City. And I think it's common also in other places where if you don't have your own home, you don't have parents to help you out, it's gonna be super difficult for you to survive. But I think in my own case, when I was in Japan, the company that I worked with helped me find lodging. So there was a dormitory for employees, which helped us somehow get by. But once you marry and you have children, you won't be able to stay in the company dorm anymore. You have to buy your own place, and that's where it becomes really difficult for overseas Filipino workers, for instance, who go there. And I think most of them, what they would do is not marry anymore. So they don't have to spend too much money that way. And I think most Japanese also seem to be going in that direction. I mean, what's the point of having to marry and having children when you'll only incur more and more expenses, right? That's why if you look at the people who are on YouTube, for instance, the YouTubers, the people in the entertainment industry, seems to me that most of them know the economic burden that you have to carry when you marry and have a child. And actually, you'll also see that some of them on YouTube would want to show that they can somehow survive with a family, but I think that the impression that you're gonna get won't be very enticing. I think I mean, for me, if I look at the videos, looks like they're always in need of more income, and maybe it's really the usual type of problem that husbands have, even if they're not YouTubers, even if they are working in an office and things like that. There's always this need for more money, more income, and actually, it's also a problem that I also am trying to solve.